Hey guys, welcome to my class. My name is Priti. Your coach from Smith's Knowledge is present here. We are going to learn the agriculture part 2. In this concept, we will learn about the type of agriculture that is the last concept of this chapter. So, the types of agriculture is much. First, it is divided into subsistence and commercial. Then, subsistence is intensive subsistence farming and primitive subsistence farming. Again, primitive subsistence farming is divided into shifting cultivation and nomadic farming. If we will talk about the commercial, then it is divided into commercial grain farming, mixed farming, plantation farming. All of you clear about this? Now let's learn them one by one. तो आज के लिए सिर्फ हम इतना ही पढ़ेंगे. तो लेट्स लर्न बाय वन. देखिए सब्सिस्टेंस फार्मिंग क्या होती है. देखिए फार्मर्स फॉर वेरी स्मॉल प्लॉट्स ऑफ लैंड एंड लिटिल अमाउंट ऑफ मनी. They grow crops which are just about enough to feed their families. I think there is no surplus for sale. And that form of farming is known as the subsistence farming. So we know that the subsistence farming is the farming in which the farmers can have enough to feed their families. Then this type of farming will take about. Then primitive methods of farming are used, and the seeds and fertilizers are very poor quality. Now, so because of this, the crop yield is also low. So the farmer's family does the farmer, and farmer depends on the rainfall for irrigation. Subsistence farming may be intensive farming or primitive subsistence farming. The water intensive subsistence farming and water primitive subsistence farming. Let's learn about them. So first we will learn about the intensive subsistence farming. Intensive subsistence farming is the farming that is practiced in very densely populated areas. Means in which the land area is small and a large amount of labor and capital used for agriculture. And due to the fertile soil and favorable climate, for a long period of time, 2 or 3 crops are grown on the same piece of land at different times during the year. For example, some crops that are grown in intensive farming are rice, wheat and major. Now we will talk about the primitive subsistence farming. What is primitive subsistence farming? Let's learn about it. Primitive subsistence farming, the farming in the small scale farming pattern of agriculture, that is of primitive nature. What it includes shifting cultivation and nomadic. Now in this primitive subsistence farming, it is divided into shifting cultivation and nomadic farming. What is shifting cultivation? Shifting cultivation is a type or system of cultivation in which the plot of land is cleared by cutting or burning the vegetation and grown on it. The ashes then are mixed into the soil and make it to fertile, because the ashes also make the soil fertile. And the method is known as the slash and burn method. For example of some crops like the major, potatoes, yam and cassava can be grown like this. After 2 or 3 years, when the fertility of the plot is exhausted, then the farmer have to abandon it and then move to a new plot for cultivation. So, shifting cultivation is mainly practiced in the thick forest of the Amazon basin, in tropical Africa, in Southeast Asia, and in some parts of Northeast India. And it is known by different names in different parts, like Ruca in Brazil, Ladang in Malaysia, Milpa in Mexico, Masur in Congo, Basin of Africa, and Jum in Northeast India. Now we will talk about the nomadic farming. Nomadic farming is the form of farming that is mainly practiced in regions where agriculture is not possible. Why? Because of the topography or the climate. And some places where nomadic herding is done, like the Sahara in Africa, Rajasthan and Jammu and Kashmir in India, and some parts of Central Asia. People rear the animals, like we will take the sheep, goat, camel and yak, and move from place to place in search for fodder and water. And they are nomads like the Banjaras. And this form of herding is also related to what? Pastoralism. What is pastoralism? The branch of agriculture associated with the keeping or grazing of sheep or cattle. Now there is also transhumance. What is transhumance? Transhumance is the action or practice of moving livestock from one grazing ground to another in a seasonal cycle. Typical to lowlands in winter and highlands in summer. These order live in tents and temporary dwellings at different places because they are nomadic and Banjara. The animals that are reared here, like the yak, the camel, the goat, the sheep, they provide what? They provide milk, meat, wool, hide for the herds and the families. Now we have cleared about the total of subsistence farming. Now we will go to the commercial farming. What is commercial farming? Let's introduction. See, commercial farming, the crops are grown and livestock is reared for sale in the market. The area that is cultivated and the capital that is used in large and most of the work is done by the machines. The common types of commercial farming are commercial grain farming and mixed farming and plantation farming. So let's learn about them. The first one is commercial grain farming. Commercial grain farming is the type of farming that is practiced in the temperate grasslands, like prairies in North America, steppes in Eurasia, pampas in South America. These grasslands are not densely populated also, and they have very large cultivable area and are cultivated using farm machines and latest technology. This compensates for less labor available in these regions. Wheat and maize are the commonly grown crops. Now we will talk about the mixed farming. Mixed farming is the type of farming in which the land is used for both growing crops and rearing animals that give milk and meat. These farms are the modern and highly mechanized. This type of farming is mostly practiced in what? USA, Europe, Australia, Argentina, and South Africa. Now we will talk about the plantation farming. Plantation farming is the farming that is used on large farms. It's done on the large farms. That the large farms are known as estates, where mostly a single crop of tea, coffee, sugarcane, cashew, rubber, bananas, or oil palms are grown. Like the large amount of labor and capital is required for this type of farming. Processing. What is processing? The series of operations performed by changing the form of product is required for this. The processing is done of the farm itself or in nearby factories. Like in West Indies, bananas plantation; in India, tea, coffee, and rubber plantation; and in Brazil, coffee plantation are common. So, our chapter agriculture is completed in only 2 parts. So for today, this much. Thank you and have a nice day. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.